DOJ seeks dismissal of challenge to federal cannabis ban. And what I read was basically the government's motion to dismiss the case. And I didn't read the underlying complaint. It wasn't available. And some of this stuff I don't really care yet, because this is going to need to go up the chain of command to the Supreme Court and have them decide this. But it appears that a group of Massachusetts cannabis businesses got together and sued the federal government, Merrick Garland specifically, asking that that the court declare that the Controlled Substances Act, as it applies to intrastate activities, is unconstitutional. And the government shot back, oh, you lack standing. You know, this Controlled Substances Act does not exceed its Commerce Clause authority, and you don't have a fundamental right to grow weed, so you know this is going to be judged on what we call the rational basis. And on and on and on. Some of the same bullshit that comes out of the Department of Justice. And one of the things that caught my attention is this: the Department of Justice attorney said that for most of the history of America, marijuana has been extensively regulated and occasionally banned. And I said, now you're just lying, okay? You son of a bitches are just lying, because that's not been the case, but they find it convenient to try to say things like that. And this is a challenge to the Raich case. And I've been mentioning many times over the last year or more that I've been doing this podcast here about the problem we have is that the Supreme Court extended commerce authority so far that they're controlling non-commercial intrastate activity. And Angel Raich was growing weed in the backyard. She had a seizure disorder. She took it in her house and used it. That was a challenge to federal authority. And in 2005, the Supreme Court said, but if we dust off this old case from the New Deal about wheat being grown in your field to feed your animals and the federal government control that, we find authority here for the federal government through the Commerce Clause to control what you do inside your house if it's not going to leave your house and be commercial. And those of us involved in this, we are sick to our stomachs. Like, how can you do that? Oh, and by the way, they were waiting for that case to prosecute me, so I got indicted a week after that. So it was something that was irritating to me. Okay? And one of the hopes I have, I guess is a hope, is that Clarence Thomas in the Raich decision, he was blunt. We have a Constitution, we have a 10th Amendment, and all powers not given to the federal government belong to the state. Okay? So the reason the Commerce Clause exists is because in the Articles of Confederation, every state had, border tariffs, export tariffs and taxes. And they just were screwing up commerce, okay? So the Commerce Clause was put in place so the federal government has the right to regulate commerce amongst the several states. So you read it, no, it's interstate commerce. If it doesn't cross the state line, you don't have authority. And that's how this worked until FDR threatened to pack the courts in 1936, I believe, and one of the Supreme Court justices flipped and decided, well, we're going to look at how much we can extend federal authority under commerce. And they came out with Wickard versus Filburn in 1941, where this guy was growing out 5 acres of wheat to feed to his animals. And the Agricultural Adjustment Act gave the federal government authority to regulate all growth of wheat across the country. And they decided that, growing your own wheat and feed your animals has a substantial impact on interstate commerce. So therefore, we're going to extend our authority into non-commercial intrastate activities. Okay, and no one really cared a lot because, the war was on and blah, 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 blah. But then when the Raich court dusted this old piece of shit decision out, it's like, wait a second. How can you say this? And Clarence Thomas was pretty blunt. States have a 10th Amendment right to regulate stuff that goes on in their states, and the government does not have the authority to have anything to say about that. Okay. Well, let's bounce forward to now, and this is a direct challenge to Raich. Okay, we're in the initial pleading phases here, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds because it just puts me to sleep. Okay, we will continue to follow this as we see what the response of these plaintiffs is to all these statements by the federal government. But this is going to work its way up the chain of command, because whether they dismiss this case and they appeal, or the case goes forward and something else happens and they appeal, this needs to work up through the appellate courts. And the Supreme Court's going to have to revisit Raich and hopefully overturn it. Because I don't believe personally the federal government should be able to tell you what you can do inside your house that never leaves your house under interstate commerce authority. And the Supreme Court last addressed this in the Obamacare case, and they said, nah, the Commerce Clause doesn't give the authority to require someone to have health insurance. We'll make it a tax, but I'm hopeful that the court we have right now will say, no, this is an unconstitutional extension of commerce authority, and maybe give us a fighting chance to deal inside the state without the threat of federal prosecutions. Oh. We'll follow this as we go along. I'll bring it up occasionally, but I'm hopeful we can get this in front of the court, maybe get a victory, and rein in the federal government trying to control your lives here. Throw it back at you. What do you guys think?
I mean, man, I don't expect anything less from this administration or from this DOJ, as we've watched them just blatantly step on people's rights left and right in all other types of topics and conversations and issues and whatnot. And so this is not any type of surprise to me. They just want to sweep it under the rug and pretend it never existed and that they never have to hear about it because they know they're wrong.
Well, at least Obama had smoked weed before. So had Clinton. Biden never liked it. Okay. Nope. He was one of the primary authors and motivators of these crime bills that we still, labor under, the extending the conspiracy laws to cover every goddamn thing. I mean, he helped light up the war on drugs as much as anybody back when he was a senator. So I'm not really a big fan of his drug policies. He has to be careful because his kid's a coke addict, and you got to be careful what you say about the use of drugs, because my son needs a nose job because he snorted so much coke and banged so many whores all around the world.
Oh man, Dale.
Keep hoping somebody's going to step in and get the drug mentality out of this, and let's just leave people alone to have individual freedoms. What the are you involved in people's lives, smoking weed in their house? Come on, stop it.
I mean, technically, they had people snorting cocaine in this White House administration.
Oh, it goes on. Somebody just got caught and left it there, or maybe they planted it. I don't know. Hey, inside government, inside big business, when you want to wake up, you do a little bump. Well, people smoke weed. They drink a lot. Come on.
I think
I've been doing that in the Capitol for years, decades.
I think I know how it got there. I think I know how it got there, because they said they found it somewhere like where people like leave their electronic devices. So I'm willing to bet Hunter like reached in his suit pocket and pulled it out and then grabbed the Coke baggie and the straw at the same time, not realizing it, set it down, boom, and now it's underneath the phone in the thing. And when he goes to get his phone out, he just pulls his phone out and then leaves the Coke and the straw behind. That's my theory.
I don't think he was ever that careful with his Coke.
That's part of my point. That's part of my point.
He had a couple little things dripping off his nose there. It's like, Hunter, get it off your nose, dude. You look a little too conspicuous.
Got a little sugar booger going on.
Yeah.
I would love to see Hunter Biden and Donald Trump Jr. in a cage match. Coked out of their
cocaine
minds.
Cage match.
Yes, cocaine bears.
Oh man, cocaine bears. Oh man, we need Dana White for this.
Oh, yeah, I think my money'd have to be on Hunter.
You put your money on Hunter over Don?
I think that the
Don's
Trump boys are a bunch of pusillanimous little bitches, and I don't think they could fight their way out of a wet paper bag. But
but he's at least sober.
Opinion.
They
have a great plan until someone smacks them right in the mouth.
Yeah, but see,
they've never been punched right in the face before.
Yeah, but like Hunter would like go there and like be all faded and possibly not even be able to walk. Like, did you see him in that video?
Yeah, I think he stopped using coke, and I think he's trained to fight.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that he stopped using drugs at all, bro. I grew up in a trailer park and I watched people use drugs their entire life, and a lot of people don't quit unless they go into rehab, and that ain't happening to Hunter. His parents, his mommy and daddy ain't forcing him to go into rehab.
Yeah, but I know a lot of vets, and most of them are are better at fighting than I anticipate the Trump boys would be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Fair enough. Maybe we'll have to put a bet on it one day and hope that there is a big USA brawl.
I'll reset their broken nose. How about that?
Oh, yes. And on that, we are